Good day, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. A man who was shot by Winnipeg Police on Sunday has been identified as 24-year-old Jordan Charlie. Charlie was originally from Iqaluit, and he was released from a provincial jail just days before his death. On Sunday evening, Charlie was shot multiple times by Winnipeg police officers after they say he stabbed another officer with an edged weapon and refused to put it down. He was taken to hospital and pronounced dead. The police officer survived. According to the Winnipeg Free Press, Charlie had just finished serving a 6-month sentence for assaulting hospital security with a knife. Before that, he served 4.5 years at the Stony Mountain Penitentiary north of Winnipeg. The Free Press reports that Charlie was homeless and struggling with mental health and substance abuse issues. He is the 13th Indigenous person killed in police custody since late August. A family member in British Columbia is speaking out this week, calling for more transparency and answers in the death of Eugene Joseph, who died while in RCMP custody earlier this month. The 47-year-old was the 12th Indigenous person to die while interacting with RCMP or municipal police services since late August. According to a press release, Prince George RCMP picked Joseph up on Wednesday, November 6th, for being intoxicated. He was detained in cells at the detachment. Later that night, Joseph was found unresponsive during a routine check. He was taken to hospital and died 5 days later. APTN News spoke with Dawn Agno, Joseph's partner. She says he's from the Tlasden First Nation in BC and the father of 5 children. She says Joseph was struggling after losing his father in September and had difficulty accessing mental health supports. BC's Independent Investigation Office is now investigating the matter. For more on this story, you can go to our website, aptnnews.ca. Last week, APTN reported on the Alberta Child Advocates report showing a continuation of Indigenous youth being overrepresented in the child welfare system. As APTN's Chris Stewart tells us, an associate professor says more needs to be done to lower the alarming numbers.
The numbers on last week's Alberta Child Advocates reports are not good. Despite only being under 8% of the population, 61% of youth working with the Alberta Child Advocates Office are Indigenous. These numbers have been high for decades. Audra Foggin is the Assistant Professor of Child Studies and Social Work at Mount Royal University. She is Cree and a 60s scoop survivor. She says the Alberta government needs to listen to Indigenous communities to make a change.
Taking the lead from Indigenous people, community, elders, experts, I think all of the answers that are necessary for improvement are definitely in the community, and I think we're simply not seeing that at this point.
The advocate wants the government to follow a previous recommendation of giving full supports to Indigenous communities across Alberta to have their own systems and take back their children from care. Foggin says this needs to be implemented.
Having Indigenous communities be at the helm and in the lead of their own process, of their own sovereignty, healing, reunification, family prevention is critical to reducing the numbers of Indigenous children in care.
Foggin believes the recommendations from the child advocate don't go far enough. They should be binding, not just recommendations.
We know that the Canadian government and that child welfare has never been a good parent. We have to seek other solutions, and I think having more teeth or more legalities implemented rather than just recommendations is a really important step.
The Alberta Children and Family Services Department sent a statement to APTN on their reaction to the Child Advocates report. It reads in part, "These findings continue to inform changes that are helping stabilize the child intervention system. This includes focusing on prevention and early intervention initiatives, including ensuring Indigenous children and youth benefit from culturally appropriate services." It goes on to say, all recommendations made by the OCYA are actioned in a way that will make a positive difference for children, youth, and families. Prior to this report, Children and Family Services has implemented 105 of the 111 recommendations from the OCYA and 5 remain in progress. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
2024 has been a difficult year for the Anishinaabe community of Kitcisakik First Nation in Quebec. Political struggles and the fires that destroyed the band council office and the only dispensary in the area have all contributed to more hardship. Now tensions continue to rise. Last week, a new blockade emerged in response to the band council ignoring a request about education. Kim Sullivan has that story.
Barriers and protests against the chief and council have been significant events in Kitcisakik over the past year. The most recent blockade was led by 2 employees of the Kitcisakik Primary School. They are upset with working conditions there after nearly a third of the staff left, either through resignation or preventive sick leave. For example, the school has been without a principal for over a month.
Comme maman, les services éducatifs en ce moment, je sens que ça va être à risque avec tous les départs. Puis, si je me lève en ce moment, c'est vraiment pour montrer mes inquiétudes, pas juste à court terme, mais aussi à long terme des services éducatifs qu'il y a ici à Kitcisakik.
The demands are simple. They want a chance to be heard.
Dans le fond, ce qu'on demande, c'est une assemblée générale pour faire preuve de transparence auprès de, non seulement des employés qui travaillent là, mais aussi de la communauté. Il y a des choses qui se passent, puis je pense que c'est important de venir s'asseoir puis d'écouter.
Les choses n'avancent pas. Il faut le dénoncer pour que ça avance. Il faut parler, puis c'est quelque chose que moi, personnellement, ça m'effraie. Mais je le fais pareil pour l'avenir.
Several former community leaders support the blockade, including former chief Adrienne Anishinaabe. She fears the future of the educational system is heading back towards past horrors.
C'est 2 personnes qui de l'éducation qui ont décidé de diriger le barrage, puis ça, c'est eux, parce qu'ils autres voient très clair qu'est-ce qui se passe dans l'école, puis tout ça. Puis on ne cachera pas qu'il y a quand même eu des jeunes adultes qui sont aujourd'hui adultes dénoncés d'avoir vécu des sévices dans l'école. Puis que cette même façon de gérer refait surface. Moi, non, je ne serai jamais d'accord avec une façon comme ça. C'est un peu comme l'ère du pensionnat qui revient.
The band council was not ready to discuss the issue with APTN News, but supporters of Chief Régis Panoswe are openly frustrated by the setup of another blockade.
Y a-t-il une loi qui peut empêcher maintenant de faire des barrages puis de priver les enfants d'école puis de priver l'autobus scolaire puis les profs de rentrer? Moi, j'en ai marre de tout ça.
Kevin Papatsi, an active member of the community, blames family quarrels for what's happening. He also believes the blockaders are trying to stop by-elections for vice chief and councillor.
En ce moment, là, c'est des chicanes familiales qu'on voit. C'est beaucoup la chicane familiale. On trouve ça dommage. Nous autres, de notre bord, ceux qui supportent les conseils, on n'a jamais rien dit jusqu'à date. On n'a jamais fait de barricade. On n'a jamais respecté après cette gang-là. Aujourd'hui, ce qu'on veut, là, c'est régler la situation.
No one APTN News spoke to was able to confirm what these by-elections are for. The protesters simply want a chief who listens.
Moi, j'ai jamais vu dans une communauté là, un chef aussi comme ça dans la vie de sa communauté. Il a oublié qui l'a élu. 47 personnes qui ont élu cette personne-là. Est-ce que les 47 aujourd'hui vivent une fierté de voir le chef comme ça? Pas sûr.
The barrier was lifted later that same day. Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Kitcisakik.
A First Nation in Manitoba will soon have its own apartment block in the city of Winnipeg. That story and much more still to come here. Stick around. Welcome back. Last week, Hotel Saskatchewan in downtown Regina was a venue for a unique event connecting some of the biggest employers in the province with Indigenous students and career seekers. Despite a little snowfall, many walked away feeling positive about the meeting, knowing their future is on the right track. CTV's Mick Fable has that story.
Indigenous experts and specialists from a variety of fields mingling with students looking to get their career started at the first ever Indigenous Students and Professionals Networking event. With nearly 30 companies in attendance, including a number of Crown corporations, getting students up, shaking hands, and introducing themselves, organizers say is the goal of the event.
Networking can be a scary thing to do, so the more we bring this opportunity to our students and professionals, the better they're going to get at it and the more confident they're going to be.
Unlike a career fair, there are no booths here or resumes in hand, setting a different tone for those meeting employers for the first time.
I'm feeling a lot of emotions. I feel like I'm starting to build a lot of connections with employers and just like building my connections in general, which is important in business.
Coming in, I knew kind of what to expect. I seen the list of employers and sponsors tonight, and I was excited to meet some people.
Those observing are impressed by the students and up-and-comers by their abilities to engage. Something unique to watch, says Leah Legacy.
That was not something that we were good at when we were younger, and so having these opportunities for them to come out and network, before they get up to those real leadership roles is going to give them nothing but a great head start.
Wavell Starr has spent many years in the recruitment sector. He knows firsthand the importance of these events, as well as what it means for the province going forward.
I think everybody is aware nowadays that we're definitely looking to grow within this province, and in order to do that, we need to grow the Indigenous workforce, and we're coming for this crowd right here exactly. And it's like you say, they're well aware of it, and it's good to see them being empowered, and they're definitely going to help us move forward.
Brooks HR Group hopes this is just the beginning of a possible annual event, connecting Indigenous students to careers and leadership opportunities.
Another First Nation in Manitoba is getting a boost to own its own apartment block in the city of Winnipeg through the federal government's National Housing Strategy and the Affordable Housing Fund. Once completed, the Roseau River Anishinaabe First Nation hopes to use the building for those furthering their education. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
A symbolic sod turning where a $38.5 million 7-story building owned by the Roseau River Anishinaabe First Nation will soon be. 38 of the 95 units will be subsidized below 70% of the market, with construction expected to take another 10 months. The community's trust fund investing $3.5 million into the project to help advance education opportunities for its members. Josephine Harden is on the trust committee and vice principal of Roseau River's Canoe School.
To think about having affordable housing, so it'll be stress-free, so you can just focus on just going to school.
The feds and CMHC under the Affordable Housing Fund will cover $32.2 million. An additional $2.8 million in tax rebates from the city of Winnipeg will also go towards construction. Terry Duguid, MP for Winnipeg South, said the fund is meant to help seniors, people experiencing homelessness, women fleeing violence, and Indigenous peoples.
Under our national housing strategy, we have distinction-based allotments for First Nations, for Métis, and for Inuit. So these partnerships are happening across the country.
Here in Manitoba, this is the second apartment owned by a First Nation under this strategy. Nigel Fergus is the CEO of Paragon Living and partner in both projects.
We share our expertise. We're the partner. We deal with the finance, the construction, the design, and the management of the project, also the lease-up, marketing, and branding. And we basically turn over a fully leased asset over to the First Nation as 100% ownership.
In the city's core, this building owned by Opaskwayak Cree Nation was announced in 2023. Tenants are expected to move in by May 2025, and like Roseau River, they focus on housing their members, furthering their education. Fergus says Paragon has already started working with a third First Nation.
Show Lake 40 project, we just got the Housing Accelerator Fund grant announced, and we are continuing to work through it. It's located in the St. James neighborhood, and we're also in for a CMHC application.
Whelan Sutherland helped broker the deal with Paragon and Opaskwayak, getting the idea from his own personal experience.
Way back in the day, in the early 2000s, it was really difficult for us to find a place to live. I had a family, I had kids.
Once he completed his Bachelor of Commerce degree, he began his career in helping First Nations with business opportunities.
From that point, I've always tried to position our First Nations to recognize the importance of ownership, owning products and services that they provide to themselves.
Immeasurable investments, he says, in both generational wealth and growth. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Time now to take a look at one of our web poll questions this week. Do you think the GST holiday is an effective way to address cost of living concerns? Your options are yes, very effective, somewhat effective, or not effective at all, or also unsure. You can have your say on our website at www.aptnnews.ca. And that's where you'll find all of our web poll questions for the week. Still to come, we'll hear from the auntie of a man who has been missing now for 1 year. Stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at your current conditions. Sunny and 7 in Halifax, sun's out and 5 in Fredericton. -2 with snow in Kuujjuaq, 0 and cloudy in Nain. +3 in Montreal, snow and 0 for Val-d'Or. -1 in Sault Ste. Marie, 0 in North Bay. -1 in Thunder Bay, flurries and 4 below in Sioux Lookout. -5 with snow in God's Lake, 8 below and cloudy in Norway House. -5 in Winnipeg, cloudy and 11 below in Dauphin. Snow and 13 below in Regina, 15 below in North Battleford. -12 in Meadow Lake, sunny and 14 below in Buffalo Narrows. In northern Alberta, -21 in High Level, snow and 20 below in Fort Chipewyan. -13 with snow in Edmonton, 10 below in Calgary. 6 in Vancouver, 0 in Kamloops. -8 with snow in Prince George, 15 below and snow in Dease Lake. -33 in Old Crow, 16 below with snow in Whitehorse. -16 in Yellowknife, chilly, 33 below in Norman Wells. -16 in Sax Harbor, 21 below with snow in Paulatuck. -15 in Chesterfield, 10 below and snow in Arviette. -24 in Resolute, 21 below in Joe Haven. It has been 1 year since 23-year-old Byron Watson went missing in the town of Maple Creek, Saskatchewan. Watson was last seen leaving his auntie's house on Lonsdale Street in Maple Creek on November 26th of last year. Multiple ground searches have been done in Maple Creek and the surrounding areas, including the nearby Nekaneet First Nation. Maple Creek RCMP have also helped in the search using remote pilot aircraft systems and air searches. Watson is 5'8", 175 pounds, and he has black hair and brown eyes. If anyone has any information on where Byron Watson is, you're asked to call RCMP or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. APTN's Creason Achkate spoke to Byron's auntie, Frances Delorme from Maple Creek, earlier this week about Byron's disappearance.
Frances, thank you for speaking with us. I want to start off by saying that I am really sorry that you and your family have to go through this and not knowing where Byron is. First off, can you explain what Byron was doing before he disappeared?
Byron was employed by the Maple Creek Livestock Auction Barn. He attended work like every day, and actually the Friday before he went missing or disappeared, he was at his brother's hockey game. He went to go and watch and support him.
Based on the RCMP's findings and the family's findings, what are you able to tell us about the day he disappeared?
The day he disappeared, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was a Sunday, a regular Sunday with no plans. He had left my sister's house in Maple Creek. saying he was going to peace out and that he'd be back later. And he never returned home. So we don't know where he might have gone or what happened to him.
The family has criticized both the RCMP and the CP Rail Police for not acting sooner on Byron Watson's missing persons case. Can you explain what the issues were?
Well, so Cookham Joyce had tried to file a missing persons report on November 30th. She called in the morning to say that he was missing, and at 1 o'clock that day, they had called back, and RCMP had called back and said that he was not missing, that he was at House 87 on the Nicanite First Nation. Cookham Joyce didn't like that answer, so she had called a family member to go to the home and check to see if he was there. He was not there. So, so that's what happened there. And the CP Rail, go ahead, you have a question?
Go ahead with CP Rail.
So the CP Rail, they brought us footage, images of a person resembling Byron in mid-December. We can't really remember the date. And family, we were ready to say, yes, that was him. But once we looked at the the pictures closer, we realized that we couldn't identify him for sure. It was like the jacket that he wore, the hat that he wore, we recognized, but we didn't recognize the pants or the boots that individual is wearing.
What is the latest information that you're able to tell us about the investigation and where Byron Watson could be? Well, we don't really. The RCMP have informed us that the case is still open. However, there has been no leads, so as of now, we have no idea where he is or where he could have gone. Can you tell us what kind of person Byron Watson was and what he had planned for his life in the future?
Byron was a happy-go-lucky person. He was always willing to lend a hand to anybody who needed it. And he was planning actually on going back to the oil field in January of 2024.
And supporting his family most likely and everything else, eh?
Yes.
What is your message to the public and the police in helping to find Byron?
Well, Byron is loved, Byron is missed, and he matters. We want him to come home. We want answers to his disappearance. And if anybody can tell us where he is, please come forward and let us know. As a family, we want our boy back. And since his disappearance, we have hung a red shirt that stays in the window, representing that he is still missing. And, at this time, we'd like to thank everybody who has helped us search for him, and especially to the community of Nicanite.
Cookham Joyce, did you want to add anything about Byron Watson and your message to the public really quickly?
No, we just want him home.
Well, Cookham Joyce and Francis, I thank you for your time, and we'll have to leave it there.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have for your first look at the day's news. Of course, you can stay up to date with the very latest by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here at 6 p.m. Eastern.